Chasing tone is a never-ending exploration, but it's different for every player. Depends on your perspective. A tone for you could be sitting in your bedroom with your favorite guitar and amplifier and just tweaking for days. Perhaps you're jamming with your buddies or you're gigging. You know, tone is delivering that sound that you hear in your head and making sure that it rises above all of the other instruments. But in a studio, tone is a completely different thing. Whether you're a guitar to amp guy or you're a multi-tracker, that tone that you create in the room doesn't really survive once it's in a session because guitar tone can't live on an island, right? It has to play nice with all of the other instruments, which is why I'm really intrigued about the Tilt Overdrive from REVV. This is the Shawn signature pedal. There's some features on this pedal that allow you to really shape and tweak that tone, and I think prep it really well for a mix session. And I'm going to talk about that, looking at this as a great utility in the studio. By the way, I want to thank REVV for sending this over, and happy to share my thoughts on it. But there's one feature. I was looking inside to see if there's any dip switches or anything that I missed, but one feature that I wish this pedal actually had. It's not a criticism, just an observation, and I'm going to share that with you a little bit later. All right, let's start off by understanding what exactly these different functions are doing. Now, in essence, we have two pedals in one here. We've got the overdrive on the left side. We've got standard controls with bass and treble. You've got a volume and a gain control, nice soft touch switch here with a red indicator light. And to the right, we have a built-in boost. Now, we've got the standard boost adjustment here, but then these two functions here are really the secret sauce of this pedal. Now, the tight switch gives us a little cut in the bottom end. We'll explore exactly what that's doing. And then the namesake of the pedal is a tilt EQ. Now, if you're not familiar with a tilt EQ, I can show you what that looks like. Let's take a look at the DAW here. I've got the Pro Q3 EQ here. Now, basically a tilt EQ, you have a fixed point, and then when you make an adjustment, let's say you do a boost to the top end, you're going to get the exact opposite effect on the bottom end. And the same holds true if you boost the bottom end, you're going to lose some of the top end. So we'll explore exactly where that adjustment's happening with this pedal. So what I'm going to do is to really understand the features of this pedal, I'm going to pump some white noise through the pedal. I've got my laptop here sending some white noise into the pedal out into my interface, and let's take a look at it on a spectrum analyzer just to get an idea what the different functions are doing. And it's funny, every time I do a test like this, there's some guy with like 6 engineering degrees likes to poke holes in my little test here, but you know what? I think this should give us a basic understanding. Let's take a look. You can see the white noise on the analyzer here. To start, all dials are at noon and the tight switch is in the normal position. Just turning on the overdrive, you can see the nice roll off on the top end. This is a very smooth overdrive and you can see it visually here. The treble range is quite wide with the adjustment starting around 2K and keeping that slight roll off at the very top. The bass adjustment is quite wide as well, starting around 90 Hz up to between 1 and 2K. The boost adjustment is quite interesting as it seems to not affect the higher frequencies and caps out at around 4K. Looking at the tilt adjustment, a turn to the left gently boosts the top end while dipping the low frequencies, and the reverse is true when we turn the tilt to the right. You can see the boost in the bottom end with a gentle roll off in the top end. And the tight switch gives you a cut around 80 to 200 Hz. You'll get more of a cut in the full position and a gentler cut in the half position. All right, so let's take a look at how I'm using the Tilt EQ. Now that solo from the opening of the video, that was the Marshall. It was just on the edge of breakup, and then I used the Tilt EQ, sort of put it up a notch, and then sort of 2 notches for the second part. And no word of a lie, I wanted to deconstruct this for you, and as soon as I finished tracking it, poof, something happened to the Marshall, and I'm really pissed off because I just had it in the shop and it was sounding good. And it's just lost power again. I'm not sure what's wrong with it. I don't know, Rev, I might be knocking on your door for a new amp one of these days. Anyways, not to worry. During the live stream when they announced the Tilt EQ, someone asked how it sounds with the G20. And Shawn stated it sounds really good with the G20. I just happen to have a G20 here. So I've got another ref here that I've been working on. It's got a dirty part and a clean part. They're double track. So a lot of different ways to use the Tilt EQ. Let's take a quick listen to it and then I'll show you how I'm using the pedal. of my favorite things to do in the studio when building my tone is building it up with multiple guitar parts. The idea is I just want it to sound like one part, but I can take advantage of the ability to multi-track and add all the bits together to create that one tone. Now, this first example here on that heavy rock riff, I'm using the G20 here. We'll take a look at the amp settings. Not too high on the gain, a little boost on treble, slight roll off in the mids and the bass, and no aggression modes or anything like that. So let's start off by taking a listen to that on its own. Now with the Tilt Overdrive pedal, I can make the adjustments to add the parts that I feel are missing in the first performance. I'm not touching the amp settings, those are fixed. And then utilizing the pedal, I'm actually only using the boost side in this particular example. That's the beauty of this pedal. You can use the overdrive, you can use the boost on its own, you can combine it with other pedals. So in this case, I'm using the boost. We've got a little bit of a boost here, but the idea here is I want to bring some articulation into the part. So we're turning the tilt EQ to the left, that's rolling off a bit of the bottom end, bringing up some brightness. And then I'm using the tight switch in full mode, again, rolling off some of that bottom end. I've got the meat and potatoes covered by the other part. So let's take a listen to this part on its own. Now let's listen to the two of them together. And once more, in the mix. This is where the Tilt Overdrive is really shining for me. It's allowing me to bring those additional elements to the part. I can leave the amp set once, and then I can make additional adjustments with the pedal. They work really well together because sort of the origin of that tone is pretty similar. I'm just adding or subtracting the things I need and putting them together and shaping the ultimate tone that I'm going for. For the funky clean guitars, I'm utilizing the clean channel of the G20. It has a really crystal clean channel, and then the Tilt Overdrive pedal is playing a role on both sides of the equation here. There's a slight roll off in the treble, a little bit of a boost in the mids, and a slight roll off on the bass. Now the amp on its own doesn't factor into the equation, but let's listen to the starting point. Now in the first part, I'm just utilizing the boost function. The boost and the tilt EQ are both set to around noon, and the tight switch is set to half. This tightens up the bottom end a little bit. Let's take a listen. Now for the second part, playing the same part, exactly the same settings on the amp, I wanted to bring a little bit of grit into the part. In this case, I've engaged the overdrive side, a little bit of boost on the treble, slight roll off on the bass, the volume is just set to noon, and I'm introducing a little bit of dirt with the gain knob. On the boost side, I'm actually rolling back on the boost, and again, the tilt EQ is turned to the right. I'm doing a full cut on the bottom. The idea here is to get a little bit more aggressiveness with the part. Let's take a listen to it. Now let's take a listen to the two of them together. And once more in the mix. So hopefully you can hear that the Tilt Overdrive is a really great sounding overdrive pedal. I mean, on its own, there's a lot of tone shaping options here. So like I said, if you're just using it, straight to your amp, or if you're gigging, things like that, there's a lot of functions on this pedal that will help you shape some great tone. But it's also a great utility tool. I love the fact that I was able to set the amp once and then create variations on a theme using the Tilt Overdrive pedal, create those bits and pieces that I know will work well together in the mix context. And the other thing is preparing those guitars for the mix. When you're mixing a track, guitars, you're going to lop off bottom end, you're going to lop off a bit of the top end. So for me, getting those sounds as close as possible and knowing as I'm delivering them that they're going to fit well in the mix, and with minimal processing, they're just going to sound really good. I really didn't process them that much in this project, so that's what I really love about this pedal. Creating those kind of efficiencies for me here in the studio are worth their weight in gold, because getting it done quick is what it's all about, but no compromising to tone, and I'm really happy about that. Now for that one feature that I really wish this pedal had. No matter how hard I tried, no matter what combination of switches and dials I tried, this pedal just doesn't make me play as good as Shawn Tubbs. It's tough being a guitar player some days. Anyways, absolutely love the pedal. If you want any more information about it, I'll put a link in the description. Make sure to check it out. Well, there you have the Tilt Overdrive from Rev. Congratulations to Rev and to Shawn Tubbs. I'm a big fan of his channel. What a wonderful player. And I don't think anyone more deserving of having their name on a great pedal and associated with a really great amp and pedal manufacturer. So congrats to all of you. I've really enjoyed using this pedal, and I definitely think this is now going to be a mainstay here in the studio. It's going to get a ton of use, that's for sure. Would love your thoughts on this pedal. Have you got your hands on it yet? Are you interested in trying it? Any questions? That's what the comment section is for. If you really enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell. If you want to do a deeper dive with me, I'm on Patreon, I have affiliate links, and I even have merch. All of that information is down below. But the most important thing is to check out another video. I've got one waiting for you right here. And remember, you don't need a band to rock and roll. I look forward to seeing you again in another video.